Hey there you guys, what's going on? We are going to be watching Jinro, my favorite player, hands down, versus Happy Game. Alright guys, this is a game in the Korean ladder, and for those who don't know, Jinro's awesome. I mean, he's just awesome. He's probably my favorite player, hands down. He got the farthest of any foreigner in the GSL, getting it to the round of 4. For those of you who don't know, that's the semi-finals. The GSL being the best tournament on Earth, held monthly. GSL made it to 2 round of 4s, or pardon me, 2 round of 8s and a round of 4. So that's pretty unbelievable. He's had a little bit of a drop-off as of late, but he occasionally goes through those. He was considered like a very good but not great player in beta. Then he came on really hard early on, and then he lost, and then no one sort of valued him. Then he won MLG and did that and ran to 2 consecutive round of 8s and a round of 4. And so he goes through these cycles of dominance. And I just think he's a really fun player to watch, and he showed that macro Terran was viable, and so I like to play in his styles a lot of the time. He's also probably the only Terran who I think can consistently beat MC. Jinro figured MC out and mech'd against him because MC took him out 1 month, and MC famously said that he has a 95% win rate versus Terran, and then Jinro had probably the most badass line you could possibly say there, which was so MC beats Jinro and says, I have a 95% win rate versus Terran. The next month, Jinro comes in and beats MC with a bunch of mech, and he just walks into MC's booth and says, I am the 5% Terran. But boom! That is an aw-snap moment. That is just hardcore awesome. And so now we see here is Happy Game, a Protoss player from the Korean ladder. Now, this is Jinro. He played this game 8 days ago, I believe. It is TVP, which means Jinro, if he knows his opponent, he'll go mech. And if he knows his opponent is vulnerable to mech, like MC is. Right now, I'd say the 2 most exciting Terrans or the 3 most exciting Terrans, at least foreigner Terrans, who I don't watch the Koreans much, just because the Koreans, although they're way better than us, they're not way better than our best. The Korean best players, such as I am MVP, aren't better than our best players. They're better microers, but they don't necessarily macro as well. And so they can beat us, but they're not as much fun to watch, and they're not as innovative. They still, I mean, they're better players hands down, but they're not better macroers, and so therefore it's a little bit less fun to watch. I mean, micro battles are really cool when you're watching insane AIs, but I think oftentimes you play this game to see people execute builds really well and make builds really well. And that's not what the Koreans are known for. What the Koreans are known for is creating strong, or is for microing well. Like, for example, MC versus Thorzane. MC kind of came in that arrogant and just sort of tried to rely on his micro, while Thorzane came in with a game plan, and Thorzane shut him down. And so go foreigners, we're never going to win the GSL, unless Jinro pulls out something crazy. Jinro and Huck are probably the 2 best foreigners, but then if you look at the 3 most exciting Terrans right now, they are QXE, because he's crazy, Jinro, because he's the best, and Thorzane, because he's coming out of nowhere and he is showing the best who's boss. Thorzane's a beast. I'm going to see if I can find any replays from him. So far I haven't, and I can't find his replays from the TSL, but, you know, we're going to look for it. So Jinro is opening pretty basic 1 racks expanded heavy barrier into heavy bio play. This is the basic Terran. This is the standard Terran play versus Protoss, simply because Protoss's strength lies in its ability to reinforce and produce units really fast. If you look at Warp Gate, the way Warp Gate works is Warp Gate allows you to build a unit in 5 seconds. Now your production rate is still the regular for that unit. I mean, it then takes 20 seconds to cool down for a Zealot, so your production rate is the same, but your production speed is so much faster. It only takes 5 seconds to produce, so you produce the same amount of rounds, but you can reinforce immediately. And so therefore, it allows for a lot of great positioning, and it allows you to remax really fast. I mean, remax like that. So, because of that, mech isn't very good, simply because mech takes so long to macro. And versus Zerg, it's okay, because versus Zerg, you can sit there, and you can just get up a death ball and then just push towards him, and you guys can't see it, but I'm moving my arms. But, and Jinro getting his early upgrades. Good boy. He's also just now taking his gases after his second orbital command's up. So versus Zerg, you can just go out and you can death push. But versus Protoss, that doesn't work because they have an equally scary death ball. And so essentially what you have to do is you have to be able to match for them army for army, take down their Colossi, take down, right now, some people on high diamond ladder are going carriers. I started to notice that now. I played a 3k diamond, or no, not a 3k diamond, pre-patch or pre-reset, which was admittedly a month ago, but this is still a major trend. I played a 3k diamond who was going to carriers, which is interesting. Now you'll see Jinro getting mostly Marines here, which is actually tends to be his style. He doesn't get that many Marauders that early because he knows he doesn't have to worry about too much robo play, but now he's going to start switching more to Marauders, assuming I'm not an idiot, simply because, I mean, unless he gets up a stupid amount of Vikings, that's what he's going to do. And actually, Jinro in the most recent GSL did something pretty awesome. I'm going to say it's pretty awesome. Versus a Protoss player who is probably the one of the better 3 or 4 Protosses in the game right now. He went 3-part Cloak Banshee off of 2 base, and he just had the nads to do that, and he just crushed him. Admittedly, he didn't get out of his group stage, because it's really hard to beat, oh, what's his name? Nesty. Nesty's strong, but Jinro's in the GSL, Jinro's in Code S, and that's more than MC and MVP can say. MVP is in the up and down stages, because he doesn't win any games anymore. And so, because of that, you'll see that foreigner players more consistently stay in Code S. Really, the only guy who's ever stayed in Code S consistently is MC. I mean, aside from that, you have Jinro and Idra, where the two, like, Jinro, Idra, Daimaga, and Marine King are probably the only guys who don't experience any fluctuation. And Idra went home because he rage quit Korea, and Jinro is a foreigner. And so you see this idea of they're better than us, but their best aren't better, and I think that's important to remember, because generally foreigners get no respect, and we like foreigners because we're foreigners. So Jinro getting up his factory, as I said, he was the first guy to really innovate with meching Terran, and he is setting up a nice flank here. He's putting his units down here, and then he's putting a smaller group of units up here, so that way force fielding is harder. He can't split his army in half because he's already splitting his army in half. Yeah, get him, get him, get him. It's obvious where my bias is, simply because Jinro is my favorite. Happy game, doing nothing too out of the ordinary. Oh, look at that, I'm going to go 6 gate. And 6 gate, one Colossus, and that'll be awesome. I missed a completely awesome battle over here. We see that Zealots are amazing. Let's look at the upgrades on these bad boys. 1 armor, no weapons, versus no attack, no armor, but getting 2-2, or getting 1-1. So that shows you upgrades matter, guys. Those Zealots could sit there and tank a buttload of damage, while these Marauders and Marines couldn't quite handle it. Jinro getting up his first starport along with a reactor. This is generally the play that you see. The 10-minute mark would be around the time to start putting down your third if you were Zerg. 12-minute marks around the time to put down your third if you're Terran. And 11-minute mark if you are Protoss, simply because these mules allow you to catch up. He should be also putting down an armory right now. Good job. If we look at his actual stuff upgrades, he is just now getting Conch Shell. Conch Shell, of course, being my favorite upgrade. And we also see that he does have stim, and he does have combat shields. He isn't going a real Marauder player. He's going actually highly Marine and Marauder focused, which is important then to get a huge amount of Vikings. And then if they go Templar, you need Ghosts. You simply can't survive without Ghosts. I've been experimenting a lot more with Ghosts in my play, and I think I've been actually doing a lot of good jobs with it, or I've been doing a good job with it. Getting Mass Blink Stalker. I love it, okay? That is just awesome. Mass Blink Stalker is so strong. With Blink, Stalkers can actually beat Marauders, but it doesn't look like he's even going for Stalker. He's going for Zealot, because those charge lots are dangerous. Some good kiting over here by Jinro. Back and forth, back and forth. In the meantime, Jinro putting down his third, but it's going to be finished after the Protoss third. But at the same time, that good amount of kiting actually managed to take out most of the Zealots, as well as get most of them concussive shelled. Some good splits over here in order to actually get shots off before the charge lots can do their full damage. However, I don't know who's going to pull out here. I think it's going to be Jinro. Yes, it will. His upgrades, he has 1-1 versus 2-0, which actually favors the Terran, simply because Terran units are more cost efficient at this stage. When Protoss units get up to huge amounts, then Protoss units are, like in 1-on-1 or a billion on a billion, Protoss units are scarily cost efficient. but in little squad-based, they don't synergize as well as Terran units do. Meantime, Jinro's base is almost finished. He is also getting his starport, and he's getting nothing out of this factory simply because he's not using it. I'd like to see him, like, maybe get out some Hellions from this and get, like, Hellion upgrades, but it's excusable if you're going pure bio to just sort of get this. This is a great trick to do. I like to put tanks up here, just do a quick lift up onto this cliff. What are they going to do about it? They have to bring over an observer. Ugh. And then if you were to scan right there, you'd become invincible. It's a good abuse of the high ground, and it's a great way to gain map control as well. Jinro's third base is up, and he's taking his, he's making it into a planetary fortress. This is, of course, what Jinro does. He makes his third into a planetary fortress and then launches his attacks from here. I like this blink charge lot play before getting out a bunch of robotics, a bunch of robo facilities, but at the same time, he is letting his chrono boost get way too high. He should be chrono boosting these upgrades big time, or he could be chrono. Now he's switching to a heavier robo play, which means Jinro will have to switch to Viking production. It depends if he's got to the. Those blink stalkers are going to crush that. Oh, they used their blink a little bit too early. In the meantime, Jinro is also doing a drop in the main. Right now, guys, as Terran, you need to focus on what you want to focus down on your drop. Because you can do a cool trick where you select all this, then click on the drop thingy, and then bring them back into the medevac, and they'll kill it, and then get back into the medevac automatically. So, if I were him, I wouldn't have just damaged all those zealots, which was fine. I would have instead focused down that robotics bay, because it would have perfect Colossus. Now, when I said Hellions, I wasn't joking. This guy is almost purely zealoting, which means Hellion Marauder would win the game right here. Hellion Marauder Viking could shut this down. We're seeing Jinro get a lot of cost effectiveness out of these units. He is just sort of lifting them up very subtly, and just trying to keep them alive for as long as possible. In the meantime, if we look at the army size tab, or we can just look up here, we see that Jinro is ahead, but at the same time, Jinro is actually behind in probes. So Jinro right now is looking to be in better position. He's canceling those 2 bunkers, which means a quick influx of money. Protoss is letting his resources get way too high. He simply doesn't have enough gateways to produce off of 3 maxed out bases, and he's making mostly zealots, which is fine, except if you're going to make stalkers, you're going to spend your money a little bit faster. Meanwhile, Jinro is actually macroing a touch better. This is an engagement which favors the Terran because the Terran has more upgrades. Protoss has 3 armor, which would be fine if you were going pure charge lot Colossus, which it appears he's doing. And then he should get out some sentries as well, simply because you need that Guardian Shield if you're going off against the Terran. Ooh, nice play there. Now we get to see charge lot versus Terran. Right now the Terran DPS is a little bit too high, but with something like, say, Colossi sitting there dealing damage, those charge lots are going to be a lot more effective. So this guy, essentially what he did, he went, I'm going to delay till Colossus comes out. However, at the same time, Jinro is doing a drop in his base, and Jinro is also taking his 4th. We'll look at Jinro's upgrades. We'll see that he is on 3-3 in production, 2-2 currently. So Jinro is at an interesting timing where essentially he needs to kill the the Protoss is at his most vulnerable right now. Now Jinro's minerals are getting way too high, which is an interesting switch. Jinro getting his 2nd starport. Now, considering he's going so many starport units, getting ship weapons or ship plating wouldn't be a bad idea. In the meantime, Jinro doing a nice drop in the main, or not nice drop in the 3rd over here, and we see that charge lots can no longer be completely kited, but they're still not terribly effective. I mean, they're awesome units overall, but they're still not like a hard counter. And Jinro is doing something very smart here, which is he knows that the Colossus Death Ball is only strong when it's big and mean and together, which means he's actually shutting it down by splitting it apart. He's killed a base there, which I would expect him to retreat and then just